Welcome, everyone. It is week 3 of the NFL season for your Pittsburgh Steelers. My name is Nathan, and welcome to The Final Whistle. First Don, that is the show name here. My co-host Danny is not with us today. He is out and about up at school. So it's just going to be me for today's preview. We're going to be doing previews pre-recorded, our game recaps. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below to know when we are live. Usually it's on the Tuesday or Wednesday after games. We also do basically full NFL recaps as well going live. So make sure to watch those as well. But let's get into the week 3 preview for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Steelers are heading to Foxborough, Massachusetts to face the New England Patriots, a team over the last few years that I would say has given the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin a little bit of a hard time. Mike Vrabel, of course, is the new head coach of the New England Patriots, and both these teams find themselves at a record of 1-1. The Steelers are a 1-0 road team. The Patriots are an 0-1 home team. So who knows? Can the Patriots get their first home win, or will the Steelers get their second road win to start this kind of miserably slow start than what Steelers fans were expecting? So, let's get into this really quickly. Let's start with the injury report. Here are the big guys officially out or on the IR or just listed as questionable so far. For the New England Patriots, let's start with them really quick. Harold Landry is questionable with a foot injury. Christian Gonzalez, I would say, is the big one. One of their corners questionable with the hamstring. Jared Wilson, a center, questionable with a thigh injury. Jack Westover, questionable with a hamstring. And Marte Mapu, questionable with a neck. So, two big linebackers in question for the New England Patriots, along with Christian Gonzalez. But when it comes to the Steelers' side of the ball, this is where it gets scary, especially in the injury report. So starting things off, Max Sharping, a guard, is officially out with the knee injury. Isaiah Loudermilk, who we saw go down in the game against Seattle, is officially on the IR with an ankle injury. Alex Highsmith, who also got hurt in last week's game against the Seahawks, avoided the IR, but is also officially out with an ankle injury. So 2 ankle injuries in one game. Joey Porter Jr. is still questionable. He got hurt with the hamstring against the New York Jets. He is questionable for week 3. Derek Harmon is still questionable as well with his MCL. And of course, the big one being Deshaun Elliott. He is as well still questionable. It's a good thing Deshaun Elliott has avoided the IR because he is a big piece of that secondary, especially since he was going to be one of their starting safeties. So yeah, those are the injuries for both teams. I would say basically the bigger injury issues are the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are missing a key piece of their defense that has already struggled so far in this season, especially in week 2 against the Patriots. Not the Patriots, the Seahawks, that is, at home. That being Alex Highsmith. They have now missed Deshaun Elliott. This should probably be 2 games in a row. I'm not expecting Deshaun Elliott to play. If Derek Harmon plays, we don't know how much of a big impact Derek Harmon even is yet because he's yet to make his rookie debut here in the National Football League, and that could be an issue for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If us as fans, I'm excited to see Derek Harmon, by the way, but if us as fans are banking on Derek Harmon being an impact guy day 1, I would love it, but that just shows how iffy this defense has been. They should be making impact right now, and you shouldn't have to bank on a rookie making his NFL debut to be an impact guy day 1 because you're more than likely going to have a developmental period where he's going to have to adjust to the National Football League when compared to the NCAA football. And let me just say, that's just common sense. A lot of fans expect it to be good from the start. There's going to be some growing pains, and we are going to see that probably from Derek Harmon. I have high hopes, but I'm not going to put too much of those hopes right now into Derek Harmon being a star this first game if he plays against the Patriots. Of course, Joey Porter Jr. is a welcome addition. If he's healthy with the hamstring, he would definitely help the cornerback room. He helps out with Darius Slay back there. He helps out with Jalen Ramsey. You might be able to actually not have Ramsey be forced to kind of play out of position because we're kind of seeing what we saw with Minkah Fitzpatrick kind of being out of position. Jalen Ramsey's had some picks, some hard hits, but then he got burnt in the last play by Jackson Smith and Jigba against Seattle. It was not good. So you need to make sure you're playing these guys in the right schemes, and that is a big thing with Steelers fans that frustrate us today, I would say, is the schemes haven't been working on defense. And yeah, We talked about it greatly on our Seahawks recap. If you want to go check that out, it's under our live videos. It has the new thumbnail and everything. You'll be able to find it. But yeah, we basically talked about how the schemes aren't working. It's a coaching issue. Is it a defense issue? We go on and on about that. So go check that out after you're done with this one if you're still angry about that Seahawks game. But as we finish off the injury report, let's go in to see what both teams have done so far this season. So starting with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Steelers won week 1 against the New York Jets 34-32. Week 2, they just lost to the Seattle Seahawks in their home opener 31-17. Let me just say it was embarrassing. I was there. I was in the corner of the end zone where the Calvin Austin kind of intercepted pass by himself where he kind of robbed Pat Freiermuth of the touchdown, happened in that corner, and then the infamous Caleb Johnson botched kickoff happened in that corner as well, so that was not fun. For the New England Patriots, they as well are 1-1, have won and lost in an inverted way, so instead of winning week 1 like the Steelers, they lost week 1 against the Las Vegas Raiders in Foxborough 20-13, and then last week they just kind of, I wouldn't say destroyed the Dolphins, but let me just say the Dolphins have looked horrendous. I know Danny and his buddy talked about that on our previous live that I wasn't able to be a part of, but yeah, we'll probably be talking about the Dolphins a lot this year. But the Dolphins, they beat them 33-27 in Miami. They were able to put up 30 points on Tua's Dolphins. So is Mike McDaniel going to be gone? Who knows? He's probably the biggest coach on the hot seat right now. But looking at what the Steelers need to do, and there are some guys that they need to be looking at, so I want to take a look at X factors on the Patriots. Here's their leaders so far this season. Of course, Drake May, their quarterback, leads them with 517 passing yards. Rahamondre Stevenson only has 69 rushing yards right now. He is their rushing leader. Kayshon Boutte with 119 receiving yards. Harold Landry III, who is questionable, has 3.5 sacks this year, leads the team, and also would lead the Steelers right now. So that is a big what if he is healthy or not. So, those are your big leaders, and of course, on the Steelers side, Aaron Rodgers, 447 passing yards, Jaylen Warren with 85 rushing yards, Jaylen Warren as well with 108 receiving yards. Alex Highsmith with the 1 sack, of course, he is out of the game, and then your tackle leader is Chuck Clark. Honestly, I've been kind of impressed with Chuck Clark. I wasn't expecting the most out of Chuck Clark. So, I want to take a look at what the Patriots did last week and see who is hot and who is not. So, taking a look at the Dolphins and Patriots box score really quick. Drake May went 19 of 23 last week, only was sacked 3 times. He threw for 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, had a rating of 137.3, a QBR of 77.5, as well as averaged 10 yards a completion. So a great day passing for Drake May. Rushing-wise, the Patriots have kind of struggled to get that going. It's kind of been the same as the Pittsburgh Steelers. So taking a look at the rushing-wise, what Rahamondre Stevenson did, their leading rusher, 11 carries for the 54 yards, averaged 4.9 a carry. His longest was 21 yards. Of course, Drake May can also run the ball, not just throw it. He is a dual threat guy, in my opinion. 10 carries for 31 yards, averaged 3.1 a carry. Also had a rushing touchdown. His longest run was 13 yards. Antonio Gibson, the vet, 5 carries, 27 yards, 5.4 a carry, 15 was his longest. And Travion Henderson, 3 carries, 10 yards, averaging 3.3 a carry. His longest was 6. So that is their rushing core. Looking at the receiving core, Rahamondre Stevenson's kind of been playing the Jaylen Warren role, what you could say, basically being the leading rusher and the leading receiver. This past week against the Dolphins, Stevenson was the leading receiver, 5 receptions on 5 targets, 88 yards, and just like Jaylen Warren, had a long, and his long was 55 yards, as well as averaging 17.6 a catch. Austin Hooper, 3 catches on 3 targets, 38 yards, averaging 12.7, long of 22. The big offseason addition, I would say, for the New England Patriots, Stephon Diggs, 4 receptions on 5 targets, 32 yards, averaging 8 a carry. His longest was 10. Travion Henderson, 2 for 30. Kayshon Boutte, 1 for 16. Hunter Henry, 1 for 9. Matt Collins, 1 for 8. Demario Douglas, 1 for 8. And Antonio Gibson on his 1 target, 1 catch, 1 yard, of course, averaging 1 yard a catch. So the offensive core of the Patriots has a little bit of some sneaky young weapons. I really like Rahamondre Stevenson. I still like Stephon Diggs. I know a lot of people are slowly falling out of the Stephon Diggs train. I don't think he's washed. I think he is a guy, just compare him to what we saw from Cooper Kupp last week. On our show, I wasn't saying this. Danny, my co-host, was saying that Cooper Kupp was kind of washed. I said, where is this coming from? And what does he do against the Steelers defense? Puts up 90-plus yards. Could be the same exact situation this week. As we saw, we'll get into the Steelers defense, what they need to improve on this week. And it has to be stopping these slot receivers. And I could see Diggs playing the Kupp role this week, in my opinion. Or it's probably going to be Keyshawn and Boutte playing that role of stopping them on 3rd and long, because that cannot happen. And of course, that is the Patriots offense. Moving on to what the Steelers offense did last week in a very abysmal game against Seattle Seahawks. We already recapped it, but I'll just go through the box score really quick if you didn't watch that episode. Of course, Aaron Rodgers, 18 of 33, 2 picks, 1 touchdown, 203 yards. Jaylen Warren was leading receiver, 14 for 48, averaged 3.4 carries, longest in 9 yards. Kenneth Gainwell, 5 for 20. Rodgers, 1 for 3. Caleb Johnson, 1 for 1. Receiving-wise, it's the same thing as Rahamondre Stevenson last week. It's Jaylen Warren, 4 for 86 on 4 targets, as well as his longest of 65. Of course, the Steelers weren't even able to get in the end zone, so it didn't even matter. Pat Freiermuth, 3 for 31. Jonnu Smith, 4 of 27. Calvin Austin, the third, 1 for 22. DK Metcalf, 3 for 20. Kenneth Gainwell, 3 for 16. Roman Wilson, his first NFL catch, cool for him, 1 for 7. Connor Hayward, 1 for 6. And Darnell Washington had 0 receptions on his target. So the big thing that the Steelers, I think, struggled with in this game was the drops. DK Metcalf had a couple big drops. He had 3 drops on 3 targets. And then, of course, we saw the Pat Freiermuth one on his first target of the game, the deep ball from Aaron Rodgers. It went from my perspective, but just watching it, he just missed the ball. It was a great ball thrown. I was sitting in the corner of the end zone, like I said, the cursed end zone, and he just missed the ball. It was perfectly placed, and yeah, you just couldn't bring it in. But yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how the Steelers kind of rebound. And the big talking point for the Steelers, I think, has to be the defense. The defense, to put it simply, has been abysmal. It has been horrible, and there's a lot of questions about what many have called, including myself. Mike Tomlin said it. It's a historic defense, and when the players themselves are calling it a historic defense, there's going to be some backlash if they're playing like garbage. They have allowed 30 points in back-to-back games to start the year for the first time in Mike Tomlin's coaching tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is a defensive-minded head coach, may I add. It has not been great. This is basically the highest paid defense in the entire NFL, and it does not look great. You bring in stars like Jalen Ramsey, you bring in a vet who just won a Super Bowl, and Darius Slay. You extend TJ Watt. You restructure, that is, Cam Hayward. You have Alex Highsmith under contract. Keanu Benton coming in for another year. Nick Herbig growing. Additions in, Patrick Queen as well. Addition to Jack Sawyer, Peyton Wilson, year 2. Derek Harmon still coming back. The defense is so hyped up, and it is not played good at all. The fact that Chuck Clark is your leading tackler right now just shows they are missing things on the front end of the football, and they are not stopping the run. These previous 2 games, they have allowed 100 yards rushing to one guy. Kenneth Walker last week, 105 yards. That's not acceptable. The biggest one for me was when the Seahawks were playing for a field goal on a 3rd and goal that was about 19 yards. He was able to run it right in. Where is the run defense? Where is that defensive front? If Derek Harmon's injury is that such of an issue, that might be an issue for this already great defense. That's running defense was not that good last year either. Did anyone else also think of the Derrick Henry game in Baltimore where they just whooped the Pittsburgh Steelers out of the playoffs? I was thinking about these past 2 weeks. Going back to week 1 against the Jets, let's look at what Breece Hall did, because it was even crazier. He also had a great game. 107 yards, averaging 5.6 a carry. His longest is 18 yards. So 5.6 a carry allowed to Breece Hall, who is a very solid running back in this league. And average carry by Kenneth Walker, let me double check this, 8.1. Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker, 2 solid running backs. I would say I think Breece Hall is a little bit better than Kenneth Walker, but you let these 2 guys each get over 100 yards On less than 15 attempts, by the way. That can't happen. I look at what Aaron Rodgers did last week. A lot of people were like, oh, yeah, he threw 2 picks. But these are just the box score watchers. I was there. People watching the game could definitely tell they weren't on him. Maybe the second one was because it was garbage time. You're just trying to get the ball down the field. Not a good read. But, like, what is there to lose? You're already down 31-17. The first one was a ball to Pat Freiermuth, but Calvin Austin came and wanted to catch it. So I can't blame last week on Aaron Rodgers. The offense could have been better, but the defense was abysmal. The special teams, besides Chris Boswell and Corliss Waitman, the kicker and punter if you don't already know, abysmal. The Caleb Johnson play was just putrid. Now, I'm not like crazy Steeler fans that want Caleb Johnson benched, cut. He's a rookie. He was just drafted this year. Pretty high round picks in the first 4 rounds. The Steelers think of him highly. The thing is, this is the equivalent of having Najee Harris as your kickoff returner. Slow. He's not the fastest running back. He's been compared to Najee Harris already. This cannot be your kickoff returner. So, you're putting a guy who's never played in the NFL, he's your 3rd string running back, as your kick returner. It's not working. And it did not work well against the Jets. He almost had a fumble. And this week against the Seahawks, he basically let them score. And my personal favorite part of that play is it wasn't just Caleb Johnson. Yes, he messed it up. And yes, he did jog off the field. But where was the rest of the Steelers? Where was the rest of the special teams unit going to go get that ball? They were heading off the field, guys. They were just jogging off like it was nothing. The Seahawks were able to go right down there and said, go get the ball. You had fans in the crowd screaming, get the ball, including myself because it's right in front of me. Because we were sitting right above the visitors' tunnel, and that was the situation they found themselves in. It was a mess. So, when it comes to this week against the Patriots, they are going to have to fix 2 main things. The rushing defense and the special teams. They're going to have to figure out who's going to be kick returning. I know Jaylen Warren's done it in the past, but now he's your starting running back. I wouldn't do that. Maybe you put Calvin Austin back there. Maybe, but he's now your wide receiver too. So who do you want really to do these kick returns? Maybe, I don't know if Ben Skoronek's an option? One of your lower end wide receivers? Can Roman Wilson do it? I don't know if Caleb Johnson's going to do it this week. I think he was officially taken off that role. But I'm curious what they're going to do with Caleb Johnson now. Like, is he going to be benched a few weeks? Let me know your comments down below. But this is going to be an interesting week for the Steelers. I want to see 2 things different. I want to see the rushing defense improve. You cannot be allowing 100 plus to Rahamondre Stevenson. He's going to get some receiving yards too, so the linebackers better be ready because the linebacker core has not been that great so far. And we've seen that these last few years. But you also need to fix the special teams. I'm curious what they're going to do. It gets to the point, like when we were talking about this game in our predictions before the season, my co-host Danny and I actually had this game as a loss. We just had a feeling that the Patriots were going to be that typical Tomlin trap game in quotation marks. It doesn't feel like a trap game anymore because the Steelers look horrible, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Allowing 30-plus points to 2 teams that probably are not going to be playoff teams in the Jets and the Patriots. And what makes it worse is I want to take a look at the New York Jets really quick here. The Jets put up 32 points against the Steelers. Week 2, they lost 30-10 to the Buffalo Bills. They got absolutely whooped. And the Steelers, you would think, has a better defense than the Buffalo Bills. The Steelers have this hyped-up defense across the entire NFL. Yeah, and they put up 32 points on them. So that makes that win against the Jets look a little weaker, in my opinion. The Jets got whooped in Week 2. The Steelers also got whooped in Week 2. Yeah, so this is going to be interesting. The Patriots, of course, coming off of a win against a very struggling Miami Dolphins team. Everything looks in disarray in Miami at South Beach at Hard Rock Stadium. Mike McDaniel is on the hot seat. You have Tua being Tua. The Tyreek Hill situation, is he traded? Is he not? I think he'll be traded. I don't think it's going to be to the Steelers. I kind of hope it's not. I think he's going to go back to the Chiefs somehow. But this Patriots game, it's going to be huge. The Patriots are trying to get a winning record, go 2-1, get their first home win. The Pittsburgh Steelers, on the other end, I think, need this win. Ben Roethlisberger, I listened to his podcast. Probably a lot of people, if they're listening to this right now, probably watch it as well. He actually had this one as a loss in his preseason recording or recap preview he did. But he actually changed it to a win because he's like, this team is going to be pissed off, and this is going to be a game that they desperately need to win and actually just get that taste out of their system. I'm looking at the ESPN Analytics matchup predictor. They have both teams at a 49.8 split. It is tied down the middle between the Patriots and the Steelers. And interestingly enough about the Steelers, it's going to be a while till they're back home. So they were home this past Sunday against the Seahawks. They're on the road this Sunday on September 21st. And then they have a home game against the Vikings on the 28th, but that's in Ireland. The Steelers won't have a true home game until October 12th against the Cleveland Browns. When we're looking at this Steelers schedule as well, coming up, Patriots, Vikings, Browns, Bengals. Let's take a look at the quarterbacks. Drake May, he's looked pretty solid this year. The Vikings just lost J.J. McCarthy, who already wasn't really lighting the world on fire, in my opinion. And I have really high hopes for McCarthy because I really like Michigan, but he hasn't been looking that good. So it's going to be Carson Wentz, Joe Flacco, if he's still the Browns guy, more than likely he will be their starter, and Jake Browning now that Joe Burrow's hurt. So you have a 4-game stretch, 4 games in a row, including the bye week after the Vikings. You will be facing Drake May, Carson Wentz, Joe Flacco, and Jake Browning. So let's say 4 QBs in a 5-week stretch because of the week 5 bye. Still don't like the Steelers having a week 5 bye, but it is what it is. We said it on our recap in the Seahawks game. If they want to turn this season around, I know it's only 1 loss, and if you want to try to win some fans back over and say this is legit, you have to find a way to win at least 3 of these 4 games. Or, even better, win them all. If you are so hyped about if Mike Tomlin is so hyped about the Steelers team, saying this is a different squad, this defense is historic, they need to ball out against the Patriots this weekend. They need to ball out in Ireland. They need to ball out at home in their basic return home after that awful game against the Seahawks on October 12th. And then they have to go to Cincinnati on Thursday Night Football and basically tell Jake Browning why he's a backup quarterback and the defense needs to show up for that game. This defense has a lot of question marks, and it's very warranted why there are question marks. So when I'm looking at this game against the Patriots, there's going to be a lot of questions. Can they stop the run? That is probably question number 1. Can the offense look a little bit better as well? I was not really excited about all the short passes we saw or the dump passes we saw against the Patriots. This is also a Mike Vrabel-led team. He's a guy that has his little bit against Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin has kind of struggled against the Mike Vrabel-led teams these last few years. They've had a lot of close games. And you can't forget, the Steelers just struggled for some reason against the Patriots. Yeah, they like a Bailey Zappi beat them. Mac Jones beat them. It's not good. And the Steelers are heading up to New England for the first time in what it feels like a while. Can't remember the last time at the top of my head. But man, they need this win. They really do. I'm kind of leaning towards a loss here just because I need to see it to believe it. If the defense looks amazing in the first quarter, second quarter, and they keep it going, at least, if they get if they get a sack finally, I know Alex Highsmith has the one, but if they can actually get to the quarterback a lot this game and give some Drake May some pressure, that's perfect. And one final talking point as we're talking about getting to the quarterback, before we go, I completely forgot to talk about the offensive line. Broderick Jones, Troy Fautanu, Mason McCormick, Zach Frazier, Isaac Seumalo. Especially on the Broderick Jones side of the ball, it has not been good. We saw Aaron Rodgers holding his wrist at the end of the Seahawks game. I saw the pictures on the TV, on Twitter, after the game, as we were leaving. I was like, uh-oh. Aaron Rodgers is getting hit hard. I can tell he's getting frustrated as well. I was at the game. He's literally yelling at Calvin Austin. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're supposed to be over there. Why? It was after the pick, of course. But, yeah, Aaron Rodgers goes down. I know a lot of Steelers fans are like, let's let Mason play. I want to see Mason play. This was, of course, before Aaron Rodgers came in. The season's probably over. I know Mason Rudolph got him to the playoffs, and I still kind of believe in Mason Rudolph, but, is he an NFL caliber starter? I really don't know. And if Aaron Rodgers get hurt, you're probably going to see Mason Rudolph, why he's a backup. I know he had the miracle run to get the Steelers to the postseason, where he even went to Seattle and won. He beat the Bengals at home, and of course the final week against, I think it was the Baltimore Ravens. And then they lost to the Bills, of course, in the playoffs like they always do. But if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt because his O-line can't protect them, it's a problem. And the season might be over before it even started, and it's only week 3, and we're already having to talk about this. So the O-line desperately need to improve. 3 points. Rushing defense needs to be better. The O-line play needs to be better, and honestly, the third point I'll just say, I'm curious to see what they do on special teams, because Steelers fans love Danny Smith, him and his chewing bubble gum. I'm curious, as my third point, like I said, I'm curious to see what they do on special teams, see what they do to change it up. We are about at 25 minutes. We are pushing half an hour already, so I'm going to get ready to end this preview. Thank you all for watching this edition of our Week 3 preview here on the Final Whistle First Down. So yeah, it's been fun. My name is Nathan. Make sure to subscribe to our channel down below. Like I said, we'll be posting our previews before the games, probably on Thursdays or Fridays, pre-recorded. It might just be me. Danny also might join in other weeks when he's free. Our recaps will go up as live streams, so make sure to turn on notifications to hit the bell when we go live, as well as our overall Final Whistle episodes. We'll be doing our recaps of the score updates, what happened in the week. That's usually a couple days after Sunday, based off what our schedules look like. So thank you all for watching. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more. Help us get to 100 subscribers. We're about halfway there. Thank you all for watching. Here we go, Steelers. Wave those terrible towels. Let's have a win this week. Let's go. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching.